Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Shanti. Today I wanted to share with you my 15 and pregnant story. Before I begin, I did want to say that I am in no way, shape, or form encouraging teen pregnancy. There are times where some people maybe need to hear some other people's journeys on a situation that they are in. So if you would like to hear my journey, keep on watching. So to start off, I found out I was pregnant my sophomore year. I had just turned 15 in July, and in September I realized that I had not had my period. The only person I really thought I could talk to at the time was my best friend at the time. Her sister had just had a baby, so I kind of confided in her, and I kind of just told her what was going on, that I had my period, and I did have sex, and I didn't necessarily think it was sex that could get you pregnant, I don't know. I was naive, and I was told that your first time having sex you cannot get pregnant, and that was my mistake. That was me being naive at the end of the day. So my friend's sister had given us her credit card, and we walked to the store and got pregnancy tests. She told me not to take it that night, to wait until the next morning, and to do it my first pee of the day. So next morning, I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning when the rest of my house was asleep, and I go in and I take the test, and that test was kind of like a faint positive. So I kind of was just like, oh, maybe it's not positive, because it was very faint. I go in my sister's room, my older sister, and I'm like, hey, like, do you think this is right? And she's immediately just like, oh my goodness, like, get out of here, I don't want nothing to do with that. Like, I think she was convinced that my parents were just, it was gonna be a shit show. My parents were gonna explode if I was pregnant. So I'm just like, oh my goodness, like, if I can't even tell my sister, I definitely can't tell my parents. So I was just like, you know what, forget it. Like, if I'm pregnant, I'm pregnant. Like, they'll find out eventually. Like, I'll get big, they'll find out, and by the time I'm big, there's nothing they can do about it. I'm like, I mean, they can hurt me, like, they'll go to jail if they kill my baby, you know what I'm saying? But not to say that I thought my parents were gonna kill my baby, but I did just think, like, oh, you can't make me get an abortion, you can't make me do anything if I'm already big and I'm pregnant. So a month goes by, and me and my mom end up getting into an argument about me cleaning the bathroom. My chore was to clean the bathroom. I did not take out the trash that was under the sink because there were pads and tampons in it. And usually me and my siblings had our periods at around the same time. So my mom knew that she was buying pads and tampons for everyone. So I'm just screaming at my mom, like, I don't know, like, I was just so angry. Like, I don't know why I was so angry that day. But it's just like, I was so irritated. I'm just like, that is disgusting. No, I'm not taking out that trash. Like, that stuff is not mine. Those pads are not mine. Those tampons are not mine. Like, you guys are disgusting. You guys can take those out. I haven't even had my period. My mom's like, everybody in this house has a period. Like, why are you lying? Like, I have 4 sisters, and then my mom and my dad. So it's all girls and my dad. So yes, everybody in that house had a period besides my dad. And she's like, so it's everybody's responsibility, and today it's yours. And I'm just like, no, like, I have not had my period, and it's just not mine. And she's like, well, what do you mean you haven't had your period? You haven't had your period since when? And I'm like, I don't know, since my birthday. And my birthday was in July. And she's like, it's September. It was like end of September, almost October. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I haven't had it, so I don't know what you want me to do. So she's like, have you had sex? And I'm like, no, I did not have sex. Like, are you kidding me? Like, me and him broke up. Like, no, I didn't have sex. And she's like, don't lie to me. Like, did you have sex? Like, just tell me the truth. And I'm like, yes, I had sex one time, but like, you cannot get pregnant. You can't get pregnant if you only had sex one time. And she's like, immediately starts crying. She's like bawling her eyes out, and she's like, why didn't you tell me? Like, why didn't you talk to me? Like, how am I gonna tell your dad? Like, all this stuff. And I'm like, well, you don't need to tell my dad because there's nothing you need to tell him. Like, it was just one time and I'm not gonna do it again. Like, I didn't like it, I'm not gonna do it again. And she's like, well, when was it? When did you have sex? And I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like, I don't just like keep track of when I have sex. And she's like, when was it? Like, be honest. Like, when were you over there? Blah blah blah. And she knows that she had taken me there because we had went to Cedar Point right before school started in August. I'm like, it was the day we went to Cedar Point. She's like, well, when was the first day of your last period? She starts tracking like 14 days. 14 days after my last period would be the day that I ovulate, you know, the day you ovulate, and like around the time you're fertile. 14 days after just so happened to be the day that we went to Cedar Point. And I'm just like, okay, great. But I'm like, Mom, like, you can't get pregnant off your first time having sex. So I don't know what the problem is. And she's just like, well, like, if you're pregnant, what are you gonna do? And I'm like, I'm gonna have a baby. And she's like, no, like, are you sure? Like, you don't want to have it? And I'm like, don't even say it. Like, I'm gonna have my baby. At the end of the day, if that's what it is, it's my responsibility, and I'm gonna own up to my responsibility. I have no problem with abortion, but me personally, my personal belief, I could never go through and have an abortion. I laid down, I did the dirt, and I'm gonna take responsibility for my actions. The next day, she comes home from work. She brings home 2 pregnancy tests. And she says, you know, come on, come in the bathroom. Dude, our bathroom at the time was literally a box. Like, literally the toilet, the shower, the sink, little doorway. And she stands right in the doorway as I'm using the bathroom. And I'm like, can you, like, just leave me alone? Like, I'm not pregnant, so I don't even know why you're doing this. Like, it's not that serious. Just go away. I take the test literally as soon as I pee on it. Pregnant. Clear as day, says pregnant. Clear blue, pregnant. Right there, it says pregnant. She's like reading all the instructions, making sure everything's right. She's like, did we do everything right? It says that it's invalid for 10 minutes. Like, has it been 10 minutes? Did we wait 10 minutes? Did we wait too long? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like, I'm not pregnant. Week later, she schedules like a blood test appointment. I go in and they're like, yes, you're pregnant. And my mom starts crying again, as if she didn't already know. She starts crying again, and you know, they're giving me all this information on abortion and adoption, and I'm just like, why are you people giving me this? I don't want this. I don't need to know any of this information. I'm having a baby. At the end of the day, I'm having a baby. I don't understand why you guys keep bringing this up. There's no adoption, there's no abortion. I'm having a baby. I don't care how old I am, I'm having a baby. At that point, I was just like, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what God wanted. God does everything for a reason. He may work in mysterious ways, but he does everything for a reason. I was going through a lot at the time, and finding out about my pregnancy really just changed my mindset completely. For a while, it didn't feel real. When I was around 14 weeks, I had started bleeding like a lot, and it was like a period. And we had went to the emergency room, and they tell me that I was having what they call threatened miscarriage. And I needed to follow up with my doctor in the next 3 days. So I didn't really understand what the term threatened miscarriage meant. So I thought that I was having a miscarriage. I thought that my baby was dying and there was nothing I could do about it. So those 3 days that I waited to see my OB, I was miserable. Like, I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to do anything. Like, I was so upset. I get to my OB's office. We do an ultrasound, and this was my first ultrasound, really, because we hadn't scheduled our ultrasound yet. I couldn't get in to get an ultrasound for a long time, so that was my first ultrasound. And he comes up and he's just moving around all over the place. My doctor's like, this is like a perfect healthy baby, like he's a great size, he's 2 weeks ahead, like measuring 2 weeks ahead, like he's a great baby. The only issue was, well, I had a low-lying placenta, so because my uterus hadn't expanded as much as it should have at the time, just so you guys know, the baby is playing in the living room, so he's talking. Just if you hear that, he's talking. But okay, so I had a low-lying placenta, which it was covering my cervix, and it was just dripping, so that's why I was bleeding. And I still don't really know what the threatened miscarriage meant, but like that wasn't the case. Maybe like a day later I had stopped bleeding and it was all done with, and I did have a healthy baby. But during that appointment, I remember like looking and I'm like, I see something like between his legs, like does that mean it's a boy? And they're like, oh no, like it's too soon to tell, like that's probably just the umbilical cord like tucked between baby's legs, all this stuff. And I'm like, I'm just telling my mom like it's a boy, it's a boy, it's a boy. So from when I was a baby, like when I was a kid, like I always had boy baby dolls. Like I always wanted a little baby boy first. I wanted a boy and then have a girl. Granted, I didn't want to do this until I was graduated college and all of this, but like I said, God works in mysterious ways. So he gave me my child at the time that I needed it the most. So December 26th of 2014, I found out that I was having a boy, and I was just like so mad because I didn't get any like boy stuff for Christmas. It was just kind of like gender neutral stuff, but I didn't get really any boy stuff because my mom didn't want to believe that it was a boy. And I kept telling her like, Mom, it is a boy, like just listen to me, it's a boy, it's a boy, it's a boy. So it what did turn out to be a boy, and I was just so excited. And I think when I found out it was a boy, it was just like I was nervous before, but I don't know, something about finding out that it was a boy, it was just like, this is really what I was meant to do in life. Like I was just meant to be a mom. I was meant to be his mom. I was meant to be a boy mom, and that's just what was gonna happen. Throughout my pregnancy, I didn't really have any like bad symptoms. Like I didn't have any cravings really. I never had morning sickness. I never had really any issues until I was about 34 weeks. I had went into preterm labor, and I think it was due to just like the stress of school and everything. Like I was going to school every single day, walking the halls, walking up the stairs, and like I was just being super active in my pregnancy. So maybe that was it. So when I had went into preterm labor, I got to 4 centimeters before they were able to stop my contractions. I stayed there for 5 days, and after that 5 day stay, I was just like so ready for my baby. Like I really, really, really wanted my baby. So for the next couple weeks, me and my mom walked every single day. We walked through trails every single day. So the baby was due May 15th. So on May 15th, that was a Friday, I was at school and I started having pretty bad contractions. They were coming regularly, and I'm thinking I'm in labor. So I'm in the nurse's office at my school, and they were giving me water, making sure I wasn't dehydrated. They let me lay down for a little bit to see if the contractions would slow down, and my assistant principal ended up calling my mom and being like, hey, like I'm not delivering a baby today, you need to come get her. So mom comes get me, and the contractions did start to die down after a while, so we did walk the trail again. The next morning, my sister had a track meet, and after track meet, I seen my doctor, and she's just like, hey, like trying to keep that baby in just like one more day, like just keep it in for us. Like this is our day off. We want to be here. We all want to be here enjoying the track meet. I'm like, you're right. Like I don't want to do it today. Like I'm having a good day. It was so hot out there. It's horrible. So I remember going to stand up, and I feel water, and I turn and I look like on my pants. They were like baggy light gray sweatpants. I remember just like pulling my pants around, and it was literally a puddle of water, like just big wet spot. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, Mom, like I have a huge wet spot, and like everybody's in the seat, and like I don't know what it is. Like did my water just break? Like what is this? So Mom's like, okay, we gotta go. So we said bye to my sister, and we go home, and she's just like, like take a shower, take a nap, and if it continues, we'll go to the hospital. After my shower, after my nap, I didn't keep feeling wet, so I'm like, okay, maybe that's not what it was. Like, maybe I was just sweating, or it was just normal pregnancy discharge that starts to happen. That night, I couldn't really sleep. I wasn't comfortable. I just kind of stayed up that whole night. The next day, me and my mom went for our daily walk or whatever. We went to the grocery store. We went to like a couple just other like shopping places, and I started having like a lot of contractions, and they were getting pretty regular. And we went home to have dinner, and I had no appetite. I did not want to eat. Like, everything just sounded gross to me, and I was just not ready. I did not want to eat, and which was odd because my whole pregnancy, like, I didn't have any issues. Like, I was never sick feeling. Like, I always wanted to eat. So I just took a nap, and I woke up, and I was still having the contractions pretty bad. So my mom was like, okay, you know, we can go. So we had baby's bag packed and everything. We went. It was about 10 o'clock at night, and since I was already 4 centimeters dilated and past my due date, they decided like just to keep me. And the contractions weren't slowing down. So around midnight, they gave me Pitocin because I had not dilated anymore, but the contractions were continuing, and they were still pretty strong. So they ended up giving me the Pitocin at 12 a.m. on that Monday, May 18th. So around 5:30, my water hadn't broken yet, and 5:30 in the morning, so they decided to break my water for me. After they broke my water, I did start having contractions very, very bad, and it was like the worst feeling ever. And I gave in, and I did have an epidural. After I got my epidural, the contractions kind of, they slowed down. I wasn't active since I had the epidural. I couldn't really get up and, move around to help encourage the contractions and encourage me to dilate. I think before I got to 8 centimeters, so from 5:30 until from about 6 a.m. until about 2 p.m., I was 7 centimeters. Because of the epidural, I just stayed 7 centimeters. It was almost 3 o'clock, and a new nurse came in, and she was telling me that she was gonna, shifts were changing. She was gonna be my new nurse. And I'm like, she's like, do you have any questions? And I'm just like, I don't know if I just peed on myself, but like, I feel really warm. My butt cheeks were super, super numb. So I'm just like, I don't know what happened. Like, I just know that I feel really warm. It's warm down there. So she lifts up the blanket, and there's blood everywhere, and she's like, when was the last time they checked you? Like, I'm like, just like 30 minutes ago they checked, and I was only 8 centimeters. And she's like, okay, well, I'm gonna check again really quick. She checks, and I'm 10 centimeters. Once she said that, it was like, it was time. My parents had went downstairs to the cafeteria to get some food, and I'm just panicking because I'm like, where's everybody at? My parents get in there, and I'm like, guys, like, it's time to push. Like, they want me to push. I pushed from 3 o'clock until 5 o'clock. They say it is normal to push for a while with your first baby. At that point, once I was 10 centimeters, the epidural had wore off, and I could feel everything. I was in so much pain. I was exhausted. They ended up asking if they could use the vacuum because baby's heart rate had started to drop, and I didn't have it in me anymore to keep pushing. So they're like, we're gonna do this, and you got 2 good pushes in you. Like, we just need 2 good pushes. If this doesn't work, we're gonna have to go in for a C-section. And I'm just like, I am not getting cut open, so this is gonna work. We're gonna do this. So they put the cup on top of baby's head. Like, they were able to see it, but he was stuck under my pubic bone. So they do it. I pushed really hard the first time, and they're like, okay, you got one more chance or a C-section. And I'm like, all right, I got this. Like, he's coming out. I push push, and I pass out. Like, I don't know if it was from being exhausted or just the drugs were literally from the epidural. I don't know. I felt like I was completely out of it. I wake up half an hour later. So when I started, dad was there, my mom was there, my older sister was there, and the other grandma was there. And when I woke up, the only person, and then there were a bunch of nurses, bunch of residents, doctors, everything. So many people in there. When I last remember my eyes being open, and when I opened my eyes, it's just my sister standing next to me and the doctor at the bottom, and I can hear baby crying, and I'm like, what's going on? Where's my baby? And she's like, don't worry, like, your baby's fine, like, we're just cleaning him up, you know, all that stuff. They give him to me. Literally, moment he lays his head on me, he just pushes his head up and just stares at me. And I truly had no idea that a newborn baby could push their heads up like that, and it was just the most perfect thing I had ever seen. And I truly don't believe that until that night, I completely did not believe it was real. Like, until it was just me and him in that room that night. My parents had went home, my friends had went home, they had school, my parents had to work, my sisters had school, so nobody could stay with me. It was just me and him. And it was that moment I was like, I really have a baby right now. I'm 15 years old and I really have a baby. Well, after that, I went back to school the next week so I could finish off my exams for the school year. And then I had that entire summer to spend with my baby. Truly, I think more than anything, the hardest part of it all was just like having to accept that it was just me and him. I knew there was a reason God put him into my life. Like, I needed that best friend. I needed that person to save me. And he was that. If you're not really religious, I'm sorry, but I know that he was my blessing. And it has been hard. I'm 20 years old now, and it has been hard. I did have help in the beginning from my parents. I was still going to school. I still got to graduate high school. I'm in college now, and I think I did everything I possibly could not to be the stereotype. Because being a single mom, being a teen mom is hard. It is very, very hard. But at the end of the day, I would feel like a horrible person if I did not do every single thing in my power to be the best mom I possibly could be for him. Because I know people told me, you know, that I wasn't going to be able to give him a good life. I wasn't going to be able to do much for him, you know, because I wasn't 30 years old, because I wasn't married or whatever. But I think personally I've come a long way, and we have done a great job. If it wasn't for my parents, I definitely, you know, my family and my friends, I don't know, I may have fell back a little bit. So their support really means a lot. But my advice to you guys, if you are in my situation, if you are pregnant and you're young, like, at the end of the day, God knows what he is doing. And if he believes it's for you, then it's for you. If you don't believe it's for you, then I don't disagree with abortion, but it's a different feeling to know that you're growing a life inside of you, and this little human's whole world is up to you. You are creating this child's life. And yeah, just my advice to you is, don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your baby. Please, please, please finish school. Go to college, get a career, get a job, you know. Do everything you can for that baby, because I mean, there are people who will try and try and try to bring you down, and you just have to remember that God put you in this position for a reason. And there are people in this world who will never understand the love a child can bring to you and the blessing that a child is until they experience it for themselves. thank you guys for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to follow me on Instagram. I will put my Instagram name down below. You can follow me on Instagram, message me on Instagram if you have any questions. If you're in this situation, I do want to make more content. I do want to introduce you guys to my family. I do have 2 little boys now, not just one, and I would love for you guys to meet them. Like, you know, anything, if there's any content you guys would like to see, just comment down below. Questions, anything, like, so please like, comment, subscribe, and I will be back.